G'day and welcome to the Ball Boys AFL Fantasy Podcast, where we are still here, guys, chugging along. I've dragged Luke in and we are going to record a fantastic podcast reviewing the round that was after the Carnage round the week before. Let's go!
Just done it from nowhere. Blasting the goal from inside the 30. Sheed from the boundary. Dusty.
G'day and welcome again to the Ball Boys AFL Fantasy Podcast. I'm your host, Mitch Casey, and you can find me on Twitter at Ball Boys Fantasy. And you can find my co-host here locked out of his own home and homeless. Joined on the podcast. How are you, Luke Rogerson, mate? What's going on, mate?
Yeah, I was going well until, as you said, I locked myself out of my house. So fortunately, you live here, and we thought, well, we may as well record a podcast then.
Yeah. Well,
if I can't get in,
you might be sleeping here now on the couch, mate.
May well be.
Yeah. So if anyone has a spare couch, because you're not staying in my place. But no, it was a big round of footy, mates, and we were obviously, a lot of us were picking up the pieces with the Carnage round the previous weekend. So there was a lot of things going down. How did you go adapting to the Carnage? Did you climb that ladder?
Poorly. I went poorly in adapting to the Carnage. I scored a 21-1-5 or 21-15 was a weird way to say it. And my rank got worse by 1,000. Fielding Archer May, fielding McCarthy.
McCarthy was okay.
I may as well have been fielding Oscar Falkhead because it was just fucking a catastrophe.
It's a real player, by the way. But you got to win. You got to win in the Content Creators Cup.
I actually didn't even check.
I'll check this.
Let's go!
So you won by 50.
I'm on fire. Am I in the top 8?
You are in the top 8 at number 8.
This is unheard of.
And you're a game clear of me at number 9. So 2 wins in a row for the Oxshorts.
Yeah, that's made my day. I didn't. That's how bad I'm going. I didn't even check. The weekend started poorly and it just got worse. But you had not a bad weekend.
I had not a bad weekend. I was, maybe this is a little greedy of me, but obviously I was, some people say kissed. I say that I just coached the boys well last week and I told them don't go out and get injured. And so I missed, the Nick Martin thing. I didn't have the Horn Francis thing. So I was hoping this round, I just had 2 injuries to fix up. Got in Lockie Whitfield. He was okay. Got in Darcy Cameron, who was also okay. Didn't have the Grundy, which maybe was the thing that hurt me, but slid back 29 spots to 1334. But I did climb 8 ranks in the Ball Boys Patreon League, which is basically all I care about at this stage. Just beating those lovely people at the Patreon family.
It's good. There's a spirit of competition going on here. So
yes.
you climbed. So that was good. But overall, I think
round.
Maybe you didn't see it this round.
22-26, if I didn't say so before.
Maybe you didn't see it this round, but maybe the dodging that carnage will help you over the coming weeks.
Yeah, we'll see. So, look, it was honestly a bit of a low-scoring round. There was a couple of massive scores, but I think across the board, a couple of sort of just lots of low tons, or at least that's what it felt like in my team. Let's talk about some awards and hand out the Camel of the Week first up.
My hump, 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 my hump.
Bit of a subdued pop it and lock in there.
Yeah, a little bit of humpy behaviour. I'll let you do this, Camel, because I don't want to gloat.
Yeah, well, this is your kissed, mate. So this is why you won your matchup, because Bailey Smith. Where is this guy? Where's the real Bailey Smith?
Will you please stand up?
Will he stand up? Because this is the fake Bailey Smith. So in his last 2, since you've traded him out, 98, 70, by far his worst score of the season. The only time he's dropped below 80 points. And only the 4th time of the year that he hasn't tonned up. Against St Kilda.
It goes to show he's lost without Coach Rogerson.
Yeah. You need to trade him back in. And you probably should, because you got North Melbourne this week. But yeah, if you trade him out, and then we talked about it a couple weeks ago, didn't have to rush to get him back in. He's lost a bunch of cash. His break even's 171.
He might hit that this week.
He might. But yeah, it is. It's been a good move. It's been a very good move. But for those who have held the smart folk like myself, we've been punished.
Getting hurt. Let's talk positive with some spongy behaviour. Where's our sound grab? The sound grab stopped playing.
Where is the sound grab?
Oh, let me try and get it back up.
Hold up.
Nothing. No sound grab.
Oh my god. Okay.
I'll do the sound grab. We'll go back to Camel. Let me just. I'm not. Oh, we're gonna get the Camel again.
Camel value.
I'm not bad at the acapella, so I'll hit you with this. Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? SpongeBob SquarePants. A drummer in yellow and porous as he. SpongeBob SquarePants.
What's happened to
Okay.
sound? You mess around with the
Not me, mate.
soundboard.
Whatever.
Here.
But sound grab's finished, so you can go now.
Okay, well, thank you. So, I mean, there's a few big scores that we could award here, but you've got Brodie Grundy listed on this one, who, by all reports, I only saw the first quarter on this one, and I was already in tears. I had to leave because I don't have him, but he could have had a score of the ages.
Yeah, it could have been bigger. We'll talk about that in our next segment. But I just wanted to shout out the spongy behaviour. He did not allow the other team to have any hitouts.
Yeah, this is ridiculous.
He was so greedy. I think maybe at halftime he had 40 hitouts, and Bryn Teakle, who essentially was playing solo ruck by that point because Coleman Jones went down early,
yes,
had 2 hitouts, I believe, at halftime.
So they combined as a team for 10 hitouts. 10 hitouts. Brodie Grundy had that in the first 5 minutes.
You could almost fall over yourself and get 10 hitouts.
That is incredible. And that's not like, they're not rucking with like Jai Simkin or anything like that. These are big boys. Like Teakle, he looked like a big man. Darling, Coleman Jones, these are tall fellas.
Yeah, just
stick your arm up, guys.
Went to work, so maybe a bit of generosity from Champion Data, but Brodie was.
Oh my god, yeah. He was doing the hit outs and then hitting it out to the boundary line, just to throw it up again, taking out the ruck and all this sort of stuff. So yeah, he definitely deserved the Camel of the Week. I will give a special shout out to Nick Dacos and the Wang. I reckon the Wang needs a shout out for his thirst this year. I think he's always been a gun. He's always had the talent. But the thirst this season has just catapulted him to another level. He is as thirsty as they come out there, and I'm loving it.
Yeah. We'll give him some more props in BOGs and Flogs. Let's hope the sound grab works, hey? And the sound grab does not work.
Okay, what's happening on here?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's likely we'll have to restart the software, but we'll push through.
We'll push through. So, BOGs and Flogs, let's start back at Essendon versus GWS, best on ground. You've got Zach Merritt here. Explain.
Well, there's some times in your life where you have to come up clutch. Maybe your teammate or your coach makes a mistake, and you have to eke out something respectable, and that's what Zach Merritt did. He looked up at me and said, "Coach Oxlong, you fucked me here. Don't put the C on me." And I said, "Sorry, bro.
Sorry, bro.
It was an accident." And he said, "Look, tough matchup against GWS. My teammates don't know their ass from their elbow. Can't hit the side of a fucking barn, but I'll just eke my way to 99. And the reason that this came up big in the end was because I listened to this captain picker who doesn't know shit from shoe polish, and had I gone with the big boys this week, I actually would have been like 20 points worse off because the big boys told me to go Goulden into Dawson, both of who played shit. So in a roundabout way, Zach Merritt's actually the clutchest player at the Oxlongs this week.
Yeah, right. Okay. You're onto me.
So
I'm trying to climb rank here, Luke. So I'm throwing out shit captains. Yeah, that's an unfortunate roundabout way to say that the captains suck this week.
Yeah,
and Merritt 99 ended up not being too bad because there was a lot of captains that were disappointing. Like I ended up taking a 109 Whitfield. Obviously, a lot of people would have gone Grundy, which you were 30 points behind. Which is not the end of the world for throwing a random C that you didn't mean to do. So it could have been a lot worse.
Flogging this one was just the subs. I couldn't really find anyone. So the fact that we got 2 fantasy relevant rookies.
Yeah, it was brutal
stalling.
on the bench this week. A lot of people might have been counting on those guys to be on field potentially, so not good.
Brisbane taking on the Doggies. Best on ground, Dane Zorko here battled through 2 separate injuries in the first half of this game and then came out and still managed to ton up with like an 80-point almost second half. So
Massive.
We don't own him, but if you were an owner, that's the kind of stuff that you...
Also, a special shout out to Josh Dunkley for, on the behalf of all fantasy coaches, actually doing something about this tackle counts, because he had another 15 tackles in this game, Luke, after he's called them out. I don't know, we might have to talk about him a bit later, but this might be a game changer. The flog for this one here...
I was just thinking if I was playing in the AFL, I might just complain to Champion Data that I don't have enough goals.
Yeah, my goals aren't high enough.
Yeah, my goals aren't up, guys. I think you might be missing some goals.
Some goals, missing some disposals.
Can we sort those out, please?
You're missing some Brownlow counts too. The flog in this one, I'm giving it straight to Sam Darcy.
Rough.
I know it was a bit wet. I know Brisbane are a good side, but... You got to give me better, mate. You got to give me better. 13 touches. It's just, that's not you. I've come to expect a higher level. You nearly got that in a quarter a couple of rounds ago. So, yeah, just not good enough from the big man. 5 points in the final quarter. So that could have been a lot better. He had 1 disposal in that last quarter. So, and that's happened a couple times with old Sammy Das. So let's not make a habit of it, and let's come out big and put some of those 68-point quarters on, repeat against Essendon next week.
Hawks and Port Adelaide, the moist meter was going off, and not only the moist meter, but the wind meter.
The wind meter,
we're talking,
the windsock was blowing.
We are talking horizontal rain here, and it was just the conditions for one Dylan Moore.
This is massive.
He feasted here, 140-odd possessions, tackles. I think he even threw a couple of goals in there.
Yeah.
Very, very impressive game. This is what we expect from him. I don't know whether this starts a trend for him, but...
I did see somewhere that he had the record number of kicks off the ground all time. So he had 10 kicks off the floor, which, that's the most anyone's ever done.
The game was built for him. You know who else the game was built for? The game was built for Zach Butters, but...
See, this pisses me off. Because Hawthorn have not tagged for weeks, months even.
I just saw a stat on Twitter saying that they've only tagged twice this year.
Oh, and all of a sudden... They come up to Zach Butters and go, you know what, this is your unlucky day in the pouring rain.
Yeah.
We're going to tag you.
I mean, I see the logic behind it is like you come up against Port Adelaide, there's only one player on the field that can beat you with Connor Rossi out.
Luke, we're not about logic in this segment. This segment is about pure rage and emotion.
Sorry, I'll let you go.
So, enough of your logic over there. And, that sucks because, he's a good player. So, Finn tagging, back in his tagging ways is not something we want to see. And I wonder... if that was just a 1 week thing or if Hawthorn is a team we need to worry about that moving forward. I'm hoping it is just a 1 week thing, like you said.
Sydney and North could have been the most fantasy relevant game of the round. I'm giving the bog in a roundabout way to Dean Cox here because this might sound a little strange, but as non-Grundy owners, we were actually kissed. Grundy scored, was it 139?
129.
129. That was kissed because in the last quarter, they subbed Laddams in. They didn't take Grundy off, but Grundy went forward. And then for the last 10 to 12 minutes of the game, Grundy stayed off. So
he had 118 at three-quarter time.
The reason this is kissed is because had he stayed in that same role, I am guaranteeing 160 plus.
He was on track for that.
Yeah, and quite comfortably too. He wasn't doing anything crazy to get there. He's just doing his thing.
Just dominating.
So Dean Cox, thank you for showing us mercy in that last quarter.
It definitely, we needed it.
The flog, however, is James Jordan. Colby McKercher started pretty well, and I think Sydney maybe had considered this pre-game, but when Colby got off to a pretty hot start, they just said, you know what?
I was worried about this going into this game, and then, like I said, I watched the first quarter in this one, then I had to go, and I thought, okay, cool, they're not tagging Colby, great, and then after quarter time, I checked the phone later on at dinner and saw he was on a terrible score, and not good.
I think Sydney just thought, we can do this, and it's North Melbourne. We'll just go and shut him down. Unfortunately,
hopefully that's not a pattern that we see moving forward. Carlton versus Melbourne, there really wasn't much to write home about in this game. I mean, both these teams pretty much are sort of irrelevant now. I mean, Cozzy Pickett, he's just been a revelation this season, like 5 goals again in this game. Still only just getting over the ton with 5 goals, but he just seems to fucking do it every week. I know the week I trade him in, he'll score a 40. But if you have taken the leap with Pickett, he is probably the closest to deserving of a best on ground here. Max Gawn just getting over the ton was probably a pass mark in a quote-unquote red matchup, but now he's got a green run. So, yeah, big flog in this one. Take it away, this one, Luke.
Christian Petrarca, if your mate Cozzy Pickett is kicking 5 goals and scoring tons, what is Christian Petrarca doing? I think he might need to give up his influencer chef side occupation because he needs to worry about footy and fantasy again.
Yeah, that's his second 70 in 3 weeks.
The forward line at the moment is just fucking peak mediocrity. There's not one player there that we can look at and just absolutely bank on to score well for us. I mean, Bailey Smith in the last couple of weeks has stunk it up too. So the forward line has given everyone headaches, I think.
Yeah, and I just expect more from Christian Petrarca, especially in that kind of a game. Like that game sort of seems built for him. The fact that he had, one tackle? One tackle. That is terrible. Put your head over it. All right, let's go into the next game. West Coast versus Richmond. The win streak continues, Luke.
Let's go. The 2-game win streak.
2-game win streak. You never would have read about it.
I am going to call out an individual act. If you watched this game, which it's likely that nobody did.
No, and I don't blame you.
Yeah, but if you are a Richmond or West Coast fan, the Maurice Rioli chase down tackle, and no doubt you've perhaps seen a highlight.
There's a lot of memes and highlights and stuff going around.
If you haven't, do yourself a favour and go watch Maurice. Speaking of horizontal, rain before, Maurice was horizontal.
Oh, he was doing the full Superman. That was incredible.
I've given the flog to Tom McCarthy here. Now, the reason I've given him the flog is because he hasn't made anyone happy this week.
No.
If you don't own him, you're not really happy with the 70, or you didn't have to field him. And if you did have him on field, you're not really happy with the 70.
Yeah.
No one's happy.
No one's happy. You're not happy if you had him on field. I'm not happy that I had him on bench and others had him on field. I was hoping for a 50 personally. Others were probably hoping for a 90 or a 100 like he's done in the past. So
give someone a bit of love, please, Tom.
Yeah.
Geelong and the Saints on a Sunday afternoon. Big wang. I feel like I say big wang every week.
It almost is a regular occurrence. 151. Played pure midfield in this game as well. Kicked 2 goals, 36 touches. He's
on fire.
He's the best player in the competition.
Oh
right
my
now.
goodness.
He can't be stopped. He cannot be stopped right now. And this guy, man, got some fans in us over here.
Love
Desire too. The flog in this one, as we mentioned kind of previously, Baz Linker. Just shit.
No good, Bailey.
And it gives us a little bit of pause when it comes to picking our captains because obviously, maybe this is a bit of a Timmy Taranto situation from a couple of years ago. Player goes so good at the start of the season, captains are redundant. Maybe we've got something like that on our hands here, but obviously big good matchup this week, so we'll give him another shot.
Collingwood and Freo was probably the game of the round coming down to just 1 point. The bog in this, I said that the Dacos boys, you can bet on self-interest, and Nick Dacos.
Oh my God.
He started at half-back, which was a little bit of a little bit of a weird thing there, but worked for Craig McRae because it kind of took the heat off him. Was it Wags that didn't know what to do?
Yeah, they didn't really know what to do in the first quarter.
They switched it back.
In the second quarter, they tried to tag him, and then it was, too late.
But also, a little shout out for your boy Vossi. Did he kick 5 goals?
He kicked 6.
6 goals. You want to do your Vossi impression?
No. I'll save that for the last show. But he was up and about. I tell you what, the suitcases were out.
Oh man, he was going on an overseas trip. There was he kicked so many goals in the end that I think he ran out of celebration.
Yeah,
energy.
he just started just playing it cool. I've done this before.
There was a little bit of swagger about him after a couple of goals, wasn't there? Flog Josh Dacos this week. He started in the midfield, but as a bit of an expert predicted, his role didn't really change this week. He only had 5 or 6 CBAs, and I expected that that would be the case.
One tackle. What I will point towards, Luke, that Nick Dacos had 7 tackles in this game. So the man can tackle. And so when he comes up against the Suns next time, I will go back and say that he can tackle again.
Well, speaking of tackling and coming up against the Suns, Adelaide and Gold Coast is next. And Jordan Dawson did come up against the Suns, but he didn't tackle.
This was very disappointing.
He might have tackled, I think, but he just didn't do anything else.
20 disposals.
How many tackles he had?
5.
Okay,
so
well,
it's a decent amount. Very disappointing. I will also say Noah Anderson's lucky to escape the flog in this one, but maybe just not enough people own him. But speaking of tackles, Matty Rao.
That man can tackle.
Wait, maybe we were wrong in oversighting this one because he has been just so consistent.
Yeah, he's killing it.
Another ton. I don't know what it's going to take for me to believe it. He's now nearly up to 1.1 million, but he has not dropped below 99 since round 9. And he's got Richmond coming up in 2 weeks as well. So, like, this guy, having a fantastic season. He's averaging more than 100, I think, for the first time in his career, which is pretty incredible. So, he's a gun player and playing well, put up fantasy numbers.
Beautiful. Should we talk some strategy, mate?
Let's talk strategy. And look, it's all about the luxury trades at the moment, and we're still picking up the pieces from the carnage that was a couple of weeks ago. So we hopefully, if you had, say, for example, all 4 of those forced trades, you were prioritising the ruckman in Sherry, who's missing 3 weeks. You were then prioritising Nick Martin, who was the more expensive forward. So you might still have some forced trades again this week, but I think that Connor Rosie, who was ruled out on Thursday night, they have the showdown game this weekend. I'm optimistic that he gets up for this round.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed for the people who still have him that he is a trade that you don't have to worry about, and you can spend your other trade on a Jason Horne-Francis, who is still out for the season. So he is the number 1 priority player to trade out. If Connor Rosie is out and you still have the 2, Rosie and Horne-Francis, what do people in this sort of situation do? Are you holding Rosie for 1 more week, hoping that he comes back, or is it just trade both of them and figure it out?
Yeah, I think you trade both of them and just try and figure it out. It sucks because, well, I mean, it doesn't suck so much because you were always going to hold Rosie if you had other carnage to deal with. So it's not like you've held in anticipation of him being called back in this week. So I think you just trade him, to be fair. I'm one of those people hoping that he is named and then I can make trades elsewhere. But I've also got a little bit of cash pocketed there as well.
Yeah.
So if part of the advice that I was sort of giving last week was that if you knew that you were going to still have Horne-Francis to fix up, maybe pocketing a bit of cash.
He's not worth much, is he? He's like 700,000.
No, he's not. But pocketing a little bit of cash like I did is going to allow me, if Connor Rosie's named, is I'll be able to trade someone like a Doherty to a Whitfield, and then also trade Horne-Francis to like a Matt Kennedy, which to me those feel like
it does sound like very
great
nice
trades this week. So if that was the situation, if that's a similar situation to what you're in, that's the kind of thing I'd be going. I'm just having a look at the top ranked team currently and just having a look at their team because we need to sometimes put ourselves in the position of actual good coaches.
Speak for yourself.
This particular person is well and truly in luxury season, so they're ideally going to have Connor Rosie come back into their backline. McCarthy will go to the bench. What are you doing there? Are we still of the mind to target matchups, or if you're high up and you've got a completed team, are you looking at just upgrade and try and get extra premiums?
I think so. The other thing that also happened on the weekend is we lost a lot of rookies to subs. And I think they're going to start to go backwards in cash. So, for example, if you had someone like Tom McCarthy on your bench and someone else, let's call it like a Liddy or a Rouse, and maybe you've got a little bit of cash left over, or someone else there with a bit of cash, you might be able to get that extra premium. And I think a premium extra in the midfield or the forward line, especially with the injuries we've had in the forward line, would be a very nice thing to do. Like if you had Dylan Moore instead of a Christian Petrarca on the weekend, like that's 70 points
massive
right there. So I do think that if you are in that luxurious position, getting that extra premium is a good way to go, because it's not like there's a single player out there in the midfield or the forward line, like even Bailey Smith right now. In those lines, there's no one player that's just hurting you more than everyone else.
Agreed.
Jordan Dawson sort of dropped off a little bit there. Nick Martin's obviously gone. We saw even Kennedy, who was considered like that top 3. I thought that McRae was going to be that guy. His role has taken a nosedive the last couple of weeks. There's no one really obvious. So to me, it does make more sense to start now to prioritize that extra 23rd premium. Unless you've got like a real dud on your field. But those teams at the top there, hopefully, that means that they don't have that like real poor player. So for me, it's like a Clayton Oliver. If you still have players like Doherty, Long, and those sort of types running around, then they probably need to go as a matter of priority. But if you've got like Caleb Daniel as your worst player in your forward line, I don't think he needs to be upgraded. I think he can just stay there.
Yep.
And you get an extra swing at it, because that's kind of what it seems like is happening at the moment in the forward line. If you get an extra swing in the midfield because of tags and things like that, perhaps you can loop a Butters in future weeks or something like that, and then get another crack.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, Dylan Moore, you mentioned, plays on Thursday night. So if you were in that great position where you were trading him in as an extra, you're getting a look at him. Even a guy like Flanders, I know we're talking midfield defence there, but he plays early game on the Saturday. So, yeah, I think there's some decent options there. And we talked about this in a little more detail a couple of weeks ago, is just the idea of approaching luxury season a little bit differently. It hasn't historically worked well for you, trying to sideways, trying to target those matchups. You've lost points.
Well, because the other thing is every team still is going to have good matchups and bad matchups. And so if you're trading someone out, you might be trading out of their bad matchup, but then you potentially are going to miss their good matchup in a couple of weeks' time. So if you can just bench them for a week, cop the tag, maybe they're going to lose some cash, but they're not going to count to your score because you've got a 23rd premium coming in and taking that spot for the 1 week, then you've got them there for their good run after that. So it is very much a week-by-week play at the moment. Like, for example, if you look at Geelong, like they play North Melbourne bright green, then they go to Port Adelaide bright red, then they go to Essendon bright green, then they go to Sydney, potential tags there, and then they finish with Richmond really, really good. So every week there's going to be something different going on. That's just someone that I've just pulled off the top of my head in terms of looking at the scale. Richmond has got something similar. Collingwood's tough, then the Gold Coast, then St Kilda's tough, then North Melbourne. So a lot of these teams have really up and down fixtures to round things out. So having that 23rd premium gives you the luxury to sort of pick and choose on a week-by-week basis without actually selling them and not being able to get them back in.
Given all that advice, do we have any players in mind to chop?
Is this sound going to work?
I reckon you just sing it regardless. I'll count you in and you can sing it. And if it doesn't play, we'll just get to listen to your vocals. You ready?
All right, let's go.
3, 2, 1.
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
Yeah, nice.
Committed.
That was expertly done.
Let's go. So we're chopping some players. A lot of this, I think, a lot of people might have forced. I say forced. It might have ended up being not a decent play in the end, but sacrifice the forward that they traded in to get Brodie Grundy into their side last week. So I think a lot of the chopping that might have to happen this week, if you don't have a Horn Francis, might be the bad player you traded in the forward line. I'm talking players like Jack Martin, Luke Parker, these sort of types of guys. Potentially if you went to like a Lloyd Meek, who's got a really tough run coming up. Now, I think, was it Jack Martin? What did he end up scoring in the end? Was it okay?
It was mid-70s. The problem was the role.
The role was different, wasn't it?
Yeah, so they've just, in true Geelong fashion, they've just decided, hey, he's a forward now, which...
That's not what you traded him in for.
No, it would have been more devastating had he scored really, really poorly. So there's, it feels a little bit better. But
does that mean he's going to be like, oh, you did well there, Jack. Go and do that role again. Because you were okay.
Potentially. And knowing Chris Scott, it could easily flick back this week. But it's just, if you're in a position where he's looking like he will potentially cost you the most points, pencil, like that forward role at Geelong. I know Geelong's a good team, but they've got good players playing in those roles already. Yeah. So pencil that in to be like...
He's right down the pecking order.
I think in that role, week to week, he averages
50.
Yeah. So 75 is a little bit kissed given the roles.
And so what's his break even at now?
It's 52. So...
Yeah. He does have North Melbourne, so if you're forced to hold, it's not the end of the world, but it is something that it was always kind of a 1 week play. So you saw Kennedy come down a lot in cash. He went up. So if you're looking for another forward, it might be somewhere like that you could look at.
The only little question mark that I'll say is who to, because it's not so much that there's going to be one forward that will dominate and score a lot more than him. It's picking which one it is.
Yeah,
so
and
is it Chad Warner? Well, he's been shit up until the weekend. He was shit up until halftime on the weekend. Petrarca scored less than Martin this week. Caleb Daniels been dog shit. McRae scored less than Martin.
Bailey Smith sucks.
Bailey Smith. So the question is kind of like who to with some certainty that you're actually going to get upside.
No, 100%. And like the forwards weren't, like last year the forwards were dog shit, but this year they felt like they were a step above. But I think with the injury to Martin, the injury to Horne-Francis, we've obviously seen the weakness in a Kennedy and what he's capable of doing and putting up a 30 on any given notice. Now, I think it's a bit of an outlier, but it just shows Petrarca's just way off. McRae's role just seemed to have gotten worse the last couple of weeks. Chad Warner, his role is not as good as it was early in the season. It is feeling like kind of how it felt last year when it comes to those forwards, that there's not a whole lot of confidence there. So maybe the urgency of getting that last forward off the ground is not as there, but I do still think Jack Martin, if we get confirmation that he's still playing as a forward, that is still a priority, because him scoring 50, I would much rather just take a punt on any of those guys that could go. You know, like Matthew Kennedy, I would pull that trade any day of the week.
Yeah, no, I agree. Look, I'm in a slightly, might not be a unique position, but I've obviously got Horne-Francis there. So yeah. I would have to do 2 trades in the forward line, and I wouldn't have a heap of cash to put on Martin. So like I'm happy with Doherty to Whitfield and Horne-Francis to Kennedy.
Yeah, I mean, I think Horne-Francis is obviously, he has to be the number one priority. But if you didn't have him, then he would probably be the next priority. Some other players you could be looking to trade out. It's a lot of these midfielders that are underperformed. So it's your Doherty, it's your Long, it's Clary, Chera to a lesser extent, but still him as well.
Well, I think Doherty, I would trade Chera over Long this week. Chera and Doherty have Hawthorn. Rankin there has Port Adelaide, whereas Long has Richmond. So I know it's not the be all and end all, but I'm going to back Longy coming off a 95, going into the Tigers.
Do you have a 95?
This week.
12 tackles, you're kissed. So, yeah, no, I'd back that logic in as well. Yeah, I think those Carlton boys, their time, they're past their but all these guys are past their expiry.
Yeah, well and truly.
So they do need to go there now. I think they are burning a hole in your pocket, and I would prioritize those types of trades before a 23rd premium, as sort of mentioned before. But then it does start to get to, okay, if you can get a 23rd premium, these are the types of levels. Like if your worst player, even if it's a Colby McKercher, if your worst player is a Caleb Daniel or a Sam Darcy, like Sam Darcy's got Essendon this week. Like I'm not trading him.
No.
He's staying. He could kick 6 goals against Essendon in the first half.
Yep.
Like these guys I think are close enough and not bad enough away from the top handful of players in their position that I'm burning a trade there. I'm probably then hunting to get that extra premium in that case. And so for my team, I'm 1 trade away from doing that. I've got to fix Clayton Oliver up and do that. What are your thoughts about the ruck situation? Are we really wanting to get Grundy at any cost? What's the situation there? Because also Gawn goes into a good run now.
Yeah, I think so. Depending on who you're going from, I would be looking to get Grundy at any cost, and depending on what your team looks like. So again, like using my team as an example, it's dog shit. There's other things that need to be fixed before I can even entertain the thought of going and spending up on Grundy. So for me, Tim English and Max Gawn, that's likely to be the way that my rucks finish the year. And I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. Like you said,
No.
Gawn comes into a good run.
So
English
Gawn goes
has been good.
4 greens in a row and then finishes with Collingwood, who's an orange. Like not red, like they're a little bit tough. So it's one of the best runs in the competition.
Yeah.
It's the same amount of greens that Sydney has. So Sydney has 4 greens and a red in Brisbane. So it's probably even a bit of a better run. After this week, so this week aside, the best run for the last 4 games of the season is St Kilda. So I will flag that. Now, I would love to see Teakle dropped. So I'm not trading in Marshall this week, but if Teakle was dropped this week or next week, for someone like myself who traded in Cameron, St Kilda go North Melbourne in round 21.
Wait, Teakle, are you talking about Heath?
Sorry, I'm talking Heath. Yeah, sorry, I'm talking Max Heath. So if he gets dropped, so that Marshall's rucking solo. But they go North Melbourne round 21 in the final week where Sherry's not going to be there.
Yeah.
Then they go Richmond, Essendon, GWS, who are green, green, green. So that's 4 green runs in a row to finish the season for Rowan Marshall. So just a little pick there. And I think that is the position, the rucks, where you can rely on the matchups the most. Like it's usually the most accurate to say, okay, it's a green run. We can really expect a good score here.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's that one-on-one matchup. The runs that you just mentioned, I think, make the case that if you can get Gawn or you can get Marshall if Heath's dropped, and you can actually do something with that money on the other side of the trade.
English also has the 4 greens, 1 red matchup for the rest of the year too.
Yeah, so I am probably of the thinking that you have obviously been getting hurt by Grundy up until this point, but trading into Grundy, you're just getting what everyone else already has. So you probably try to differentiate yourself. And it's not like you're picking up Max Gawn and then expecting him to kill it against tough matchups. We just said he's got good matchups. So
I think if you have a combination of English, Grundy, Gawn, those 3, and maybe next week if you had a Cameron or a Meek or someone like that. Meek's tough because he's going to have a hard matchup this week, whereas Cameron, you can hold him for another week against Richmond and then deal with it next week. I think those 3, and then Marshall after next week, if Heath is not there, are the ones you want.
Yeah.
I think other combinations, if you have other ruckmans, I'd be looking to trade them out as a maybe a matter of priority, because other rucks I think are going to go big from now on because they do all have really good matchups. And I think we're going to see some big captain scores from those 3 rucks in the next sort of 2 to 5 weeks.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's. We've already hinted at a few names, but let's talk about some trade targets. See if the sound grab works. Oh, it didn't work.
We don't have a sound grab, Luke. Oh, you tricky guy. All right, defenders. Is it just as easy as let's get in Whitfield and the rest can figure it out? He is at such good value, 921k. He actually still went down a little bit.
Yeah.
But he's gonna have bottomed out. He does have Sydney, however.
Oh no.
So Sydney,
That's almost a foregone conclusion, isn't it?
he's gonna get tagged. Yeah.
Yeah.
After Sydney, he goes Bulldogs, North Melbourne, Gold Coast, St Kilda. So it's a green run after that. But this matchup, maybe you can wait a week.
Yeah, maybe it makes that case if you think that there's going to be points. Because James Jordan's so good at what he does, especially when he tags halfbacks. I think that it's like,
because he held Wang to 70.
yeah, if he goes there and he's hell bent on doing that role, like I don't see Whitfield turning up. That's how good James Jordan is.
Tagging Whitfield instead of Callahan or Tom Green or Lockie Ash?
Jordan's done roles in the midfield before, but I kind of feel like they prefer him tagging off halfback.
I think they do as well. They also sometimes have deployed a double tag. I would say that they tag Whitfield before Green. I think that they tag Whitfield before Ash.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Callahan's the one that I think maybe there's a chance that they go to him before Whitfield, potentially.
The fact that they went to McKercher maybe makes me feel more Whitfield.
Yeah. I think if I was a betting man, I'd say Whitfield's the most likely to get it. I don't think it's a guarantee, but I think he's the most likely with Callahan a close second.
Yeah, I just think style of player, like if you look at who's Callahan similar to it at North Melbourne mids, that he didn't go to Sheasley, didn't go to LDU, he went to Colby. So, yeah.
So if you're not going to go there this week, who are you looking at? I mean,
in defence, I think Jack Sinclair is still value, and you mentioned the St Kilda run to finish the year. I thought these first couple of weeks, I thought it would be better than what it has been, but I think he's going to score in line with the top 6 defenders for the rest of the year. Yeah,
I mean, his last 3 average has got to be pretty good. So he's gone 2 tons. His last 3, he's averaged a 101. Like, he's a 103 guy. Like, he has done that like every single year. He's averaging 99. I think he can go from here on out a 105, which I think matches that with the top. So, Melbourne, North Melbourne, Richmond. That is a dream run.
Yeah, it really is.
Maybe a nice little tough one maybe at the end there against the Giants, but who cares? That's the last round of the season. We'll figure that out later. So if you are looking for it, and he is, 16K more than Whitfield, I'd be happy to trade him in and then Whitfield next week. And then, Whitfield could even replace one of your midfielders with, there's a lot of DPP that a lot of teams have. After that, any other players there? Zorko is someone that I was starting to look at last week. I think they also have a decent run coming up. Gold Coast this week. Collingwood does have the Sydney in round 22. I don't feel as urgent to get Zorko in.
I'd almost consider a Holmes over Zorko. Holmes has North, Essendon and Richmond all in his last 6. Sydney is there as well.
Yeah, Sydney and
Port Adelaide. But
so he's one of those,
Those three matchups I think could be handy.
He'd be a very nice 23rd premium, I reckon.
Oh, if you can afford a 23rd premium that expensive, then you're home and hosed. Absolutely home and hosed.
Nice. Any other defenders that we should...
I actually didn't mean that.
No, sure
That's
you
how
didn't.
good I am.
Sure you didn't. Any other defenders that are really catching our eyes? I don't know if there's been too many. Like how... If you trade out Rosie, like how long are we waiting before we trade him back in, and how urgent is he as a player to have a look at?
I think he is urgent, not because he's coming into like a great run of matchups, but I think he's urgent because
he's been so good.
Yeah, and often with these guys, I think this stage of the season that have been amazing, and you trade them out because of an injury, you start to see them differently. But if you haven't owned Connor Rosie until this point, like, you need to own him. So
I mean, because he's been so popular, you kind of he's been there, you kind of forget about how good he's been. I'd probably not go there this week. I mean, you might still be really good. Like the showdowns are sometimes played a little bit differently, but Adelaide's not an easy matchup, and he does have a high break even. I'd probably go Sinclair before him, but he'd probably be third on the list between him and Whitfield. A little bit more expensive than those other two. The only other name that crossed my mind... Bailey Dale, coming off a 128 against Essendon this round.
No.
He did go 260s 2 weeks before. He was the one guy that I was entertaining trading him, because if I traded in him, I could have afforded the max Gorn, but Whitfield was just so cheap.
I don't
think it would have mattered too much in the end anyway. But I think...
If you're a sucker for punishment, Bailey Dale.
Not too many defenders that I really like the look of. It would have been Whitfield, clearly, if it wasn't the matchup, but Sinclair is nice. In the midfield, I think there's a lot of interesting options. This is where I'm shopping this week. I've always been sort of setting my sights on Jordan Dawson. Now, he does have Port Adelaide, and the last time he played Port Adelaide, he scored a 78, which I think is his worst score of the season. Yes, it was his worst score of the season, but he has had some good games against Port in the past. With not too much midfield depth there, you'd have to think that someone like a Bergman or something like that goes to him.
I think if I don't have Dawson, I think I'd be fading him for the next 2 weeks and then maybe targeting the West Coast matchup there. I think you're still paying pretty much top dollar for him at the moment. And I just think that there's guys that at the moment have better matchups, better ceiling. Like Jack Steele.
Yeah.
Look, Jack Steele's not completely left field because this is a guy that we've seen average like massive, massive scores. And since Josh Dunkley started working at Champion Data, tackles are in vogue.
They're back, baby!
And Jack Steele...
He's gone 3 double-digit tackles in a row. 4 in his last 6.
Mate, he's a man that doesn't need help with his tackles. So
man.
The fact that he's getting acknowledged for them now is crazy. So I actually think that maybe in the midfield, it's the land of the pods. I think
Steele is a very good shout. He has Melbourne, North, Richmond, Essendon as
it's that St Kilda good run.
And he's gone 130s in tough matchups against Sydney and Hawthorn recently. Geelong have turned into a bit of a harder matchup as of late as well. So he's getting it done in tough games. Now, maybe that's just how Steele likes it. But yeah, he almost did this last year where he had a big finish to the season. We kind of thought he was, fading down a little bit, but came right back. I do actually really like this one, and it might be something where I look. Would he be your number one midfield target?
I'm trading in Steele, and I'm trading in Matty Rao before I trade in Jordan Dawson this week.
The other thing is he's never going to cop a tag, so that's something you don't have to worry about too much with him. Yeah, I like it. What about, you talked about tackles, what about the other guy who's the big tackler in Josh Dunkley?
Okay, yeah, add Dunkley to the mix. But
Would you go Dunkley or Steele?
I would go Steele.
Okay.
And only because of just that unique role that Josh Dunkley plays. So there's no disputing.
I'm changing my trade right now.
There's no disputing.
I had Jordan Dawson coming in.
Have I talked you into it?
Yeah, I'm going Steele. Jack Steele, come into my side.
You don't what was I talking about? Dunkley. You don't dispute his ceiling, but the fact that he does play that role where he is a little bit more intent on cooling the opposition player, I think can sometimes work against him. But I'm putting Matt Rowell in the conversation too, because Gold Coast have the Q Clash this week. If you can't get up for the mighty Q Clash, then check your pulse.
Rowell he'll be hyped for the Q Clash.
And then Richmond the following week. So
and Carlton's a green matchup inside mids too.
So I'm going Steele, Rowell. I'll probably go Steele.
Tackles are in, I think, is the theme here.
Hey.
Guys who tackle.
Yeah, cuddlers.
Yeah, that's us. And these guys are probably not the tag targets as well. Something holding me back against Rowell. I definitely tick off the other two. And Rowell, weirdly enough, is the most expensive out of all of them. So that, to me, puts him clear third on the list. He would have been a great trade 5-6 weeks ago. But obviously, we hadn't seen it yet. But yeah, it does feel like you want those guys that can get you the tackles, because that seems to be going on right now. Anyone else that we should have a look at there? Callahan comes up against Sydney. That's probably not the best matchup. Taranto, he's killing it right now as well.
Yeah.
Back-to-back 120 pluses.
Sorry for the
And
blunder.
he also has a great run. We highlighted that a couple of weeks ago. Richmond had the best run for midfielders for the rest of the season. And he's still smack bang in the middle of that. Collingwood, St Kilda, and Gold Coast North in his next three. I think outside of St Kilda, this from now is the best run. I'd say second best run outside of the Saints. Does he still feel a bit gross though?
It feels a little gross. It's one of those ones, and 2 weeks ago we weren't recommending it. To clarify, we were sort of suggesting that anybody who was thinking of trading him out. Yeah. So I think if you have him now, you're sitting pretty. Just keep in mind, to get his 124 on the weekend, he did kick 3 goals. 124 is a big score. But I don't suspect that will happen every week. And even though we're talking about easier matchups in terms of positionally, like Collingwood and Gold Coast are very different propositions to Essendon and West Coast. So
Richmond coming off back-to-back wins.
Threats.
Yeah, massive.
So look, they probably will let Timmy T do what he wants because he's a paddle foot. But I just think...
As is the rest of Richmond.
Yeah, they're just going to get less points as a team because they're going to have the ball less.
It's hard to look at his scores in the last 2 games, notice the fact that they're 2 wins, and go, okay, that's probably not going to happen basically for the rest of the season until maybe North comes up.
Well, his only other 110 plus score of the season was against the Gold Cunts, and I think we won.
Excuse me, Luke.
I think we won that. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
We won that game, didn't we? We beat Gold Coast earlier in the season.
We did.
That's his only other big score for the year.
Yeah, far out. So, loves a win.
There you go.
Let's move away from the midfielders. We touched a little bit on the rucks before, but I think if you're trading in any ruck this week, I would like to be trading in Max Gawn. Max Gawn is the player that if you have a Meek to fix up, I would be looking to go to him. He is now 1.05 million versus St Kilda, break even of 137. He's basically $150,000 cheaper than Brodie Grundy. And I think from now, you were saying this last week, but I think from now, he and Grundy will be very similar, is my projection. Because they both have 4 good matchups, 1 not so good matchup. And you're just saving $150,000, and that is as simple as it is for me. The only other player that you could maybe twist my arm is Timmy English.
Oofed.
He is the unsung hero this season, and after round 1, I don't think I would have said that, but he has been my favourite selection of the year. 109 points average, and the man is getting, he's done his tough run now. He's gone 102, 118, 116. There was a 80 in there, but ignore that. Against 4 red matchups.
Yeah.
And now he's going green, green, red, green, green.
And the Bulldogs have plenty to play for.
They do.
As well. So this is not just a cruisy Timmy English. He's going to be working hard. So
He got 102 points with 10 disposals on the weekend.
yeah, I was ready to crucify you after round one, like a lot of us were. But hey, this has been a good pick. So give yourself a pat on the back, mate.
Oh, thank you, mate. Thank you. I was waiting for that. I was waiting for it. I didn't know if you'd choke on it, but Essendon this week, and then the Giants, who Briggsy. Yeah, I think is there a world you go? He always just seems like the second or third best option. Would you go him over Max?
Yeah, he doesn't seem sort of sexy for whatever reason, does he? I think I'd still go Max. I think Max just has that.
I've only captained English once this entire year too.
Yeah, it's pretty weird to think a guy that's averaging almost 110. Gawn to me has a more consistent, crazy ceiling.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
There's more scenarios where I see Gawn going 150 than I do with Tim.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think, once again, he's probably going to get a bit. If you have him like I do, you're hanging in there, you're doing it. You're not trading him out, but I still recommend going Gawn over him. I might say go Tim English over Grundy for an extra 100,000 though. I don't know. Grundy seems like the guy again with a bit more of a ceiling, but I don't know if that's like 100% factual. Yeah, maybe 100k saving from Tim English to Grundy might be something you could entertain if you want it to be a little bit different.
Depends what you're going to do with
probably
it.
a bit safer to go Grundy though, just with the masses there. The forward line, here is the shit show.
Oh my God. It's horrific. It's so
I traded in Jack McRae, and he's gone 61.90, but more concerningly is his CBA numbers, the last couple. So I don't think, despite St Kilda's run, I don't think I can recommend Jack McRae as a trade option, which I have been recommending the last two. He was down at 45% CBAs on the weekend. Yeah. And low time on ground too.
Yeah, I agree. This is super tough because, you'd only have to go back a couple of weeks that I was predicting he might be the top averaging forward to finish the year or second to Bailey Smith. But last week I thought, okay, one's an outlier. He got tagged, so he played low tog. Maybe there was something to that. But then when you see it 2 weeks in a row, that just...
And Wang's spiked up. He's gone to 79%. And you've also seen players like Windhager go in there for 30%, who was 0 the week before. Boxall was in there for 30%. All these kind of guys just getting little bits and pieces, and it's just come at the cost of McRae.
It has, and St Kilda weren't awesome on the weekend, but I thought they actually played really well against Sydney the week before. So maybe they've decided for the last couple of weeks of the year they're going to do it by committee. Especially Windhager when he goes in there. There's the potential that they're looking to give someone attention as well. So, yeah, McRae, unfortunately, probably just crosses him off the list of targets this week.
If you traded out Bailey Smith, now you're in this situation. I know you've got some other injuries and things like that, but is Bailey Smith now back in the price range you'd be happy to pay for him, considering he has North Melbourne this week?
Yeah, that's the thing that could get it done. He's still so expensive because he was so expensive prior.
Yeah, and he's a 170 break even. Like, he's going down in cash.
Yeah,
and then he has Port Adelaide.
That was where I was going to go with the next part is, yes, he has North Melbourne, then he plays Port, but then he goes Essendon after that.
And then Sydney, so another up and down.
Yeah, it's a bit up and down. I personally think I'm going to just keep
going against him
on the hill.
Yeah.
I think. And there's every chance that he has a big one this weekend, but if he doesn't, then that's good for me.
I think if you're looking for a certain score in the forward line, he's the guy. Like, he's the guy that I expect out of. If I had to pick one player to go 110 in the forward line this week, it would be Bailey Smith.
Yeah.
So to me, he is the most guaranteed, quote unquote, upgrade from a poor performing forward. But outside of him, there's really so many questions. Like, even Luke Jackson, who was fucking awesome on the weekend, kicked the game winning goal, still has a little bit of that role. But Hayden Young came back in, and I actually think that is going to negatively impact Luke Jackson the most. Now, Hayden Young only played the last quarter.
He scored like 40 points.
Killed it, by the way. Just can't keep a man with the top not down. But they're going to have Sarong, they're going to have Brayshaw in there. Hayden Young needs to be in there as well.
Yeah.
So that really limits the opportunity that Luke Jackson's going to be in there as a midfielder. And he was still in there. It definitely seemed to dry up a little bit in the last quarter, though, where he did go forward, kick that goal. So I'm still worried about him. It's a great matchup against West Coast this week, so if you have him, he's fine. You can hold him there. The guys I'd be looking at are maybe a Brian Myers, who has North Melbourne this week, and he seems to just have the same role that he's always had. It's unconventional, but it's working. Matthew Kennedy, it seems a bit gross because just 2 weeks ago he scored a 30, and he's still got a pretty high break even, but I think... Who's he got this week? They've got someone easy, don't they?
Essendon.
Yeah.
So he'd
be someone I'd also target.
Yeah, I think he is maybe second to Bailey Smith in the confidence ratings for me because it just feels like 2 weeks ago was such an outlier. He wasn't absolutely humming leading up to that Adelaide game, but it was the tog dropped by 10% in that game, and then against the Lions it was back up and about, and he's obviously got a great matchup. And I think this is a great matchup for Matt Kennedy because of the type of game that he plays. He can win inside ball, but he can also get on the outside. He can kick goals, and I think the way Essendon have been recently, I just think that this is a cutout for Kennedy.
What you'd really like to see is Riley Garcia dropped, because since he's come into the side, that's when his CBAs have dropped down a little bit lower as well. It was down at 34% around 18, back up to 44% last week. So that's sort of been close. He's been more sort of a 50% sort of guy, 50 to 60. So that's sort of the range you want, and I think Garcia is the key to that. But even still, like Essendon are probably, would you say they're the worst team in the league right now?
Oh, I don't know.
Like Richmond's been the worst all year.
Yeah, I don't know if Essendon fans would hate us for saying that, but they looked pretty bad.
They just got so many injuries. Like they have so many injuries on top of the fact that they already weren't like a great side.
No, yeah, they are hampered.
So they're right now they're an easy kill, and I think if he's playing the forward line, he's kicking 2 goals, 3 goals at least, and he seems like a guy that fills his boots up.
I'd agree.
So I'd have those two. So he and Myers is probably the 2 targets. Dylan Moore is probably the last one I want to talk about. Obviously, coming off a 140, it's going to, raise your eyebrows. Coming up to Carlton, he did have 3 70s in a row before that. He's averaging 80 on the season. It was a typical Dylan Moore role. Like, nothing changed. He just had a blinder of a game.
Yeah. I think the conditions actually suited him as well.
Yeah, are we just ignoring that and just bypassing him as an option, or what are we thinking about him? Because his run going home is not actually that great.
It's not awesome. You've got good teams in there. I think unless you're trading him in unless you've got all those other guys that we talked about and you're trading him in as your extra.
As an extra, I'd buy it.
I think
867K is pretty cheap too.
The reason I also think he suits that extra role as well is that he plays Thursday this week, Friday next week, and Thursday the week after. I think he plays early the next 3 weeks.
Yeah,
which is good opportunity to see if you can get a ceiling score out of him.
Yeah, I think that's not a bad shout, but I think, he'd probably fall down the pecking order if I was making a G-Man upgrade from a Jack Martin or one of those sort of types that you traded in recently or still fixing up a Horn Francis. I'd be looking at Myers or Kennedy first, who are both in the low 900s. So it's only like, it's like 90K up to Myers or 50K up to Kennedy, which I think should be hopefully achievable for teams out there.
Beautiful.
Wrap it up, mate. Keep us one under an hour.
Yeah, we've dragged this one out a little bit.
Hopefully we can get these bloody sound grabs sorted, because I don't know if anyone enjoyed my little singing voice there. But thank you very much, guys, for sticking with us, and we will see you again on Friday for the live show. And if you want an extra bonus podcast and a guarantee to get your question answered as we get down to the nitty-gritty finals for AFL Fantasy season, head over to patreon.com/ballboys. Get your questions answered with a bonus question and answer podcast on a Wednesday night. But if not, we'll see you guys on Friday. Have a good week. Catch you later. Bye.